And they were like, Tom Holland. I was like, wait a second, what do you mean Tom Holland?
What?
Literally no one on the planet knows more about the developments of this screenplay than you. On CinemaBlend, we've been writing Mark Wahlberg Uncharted stories for about a decade. So I'm just curious.
I apologize. You know what? I should have kept my mouth shut until we were actually into physical production.
That's okay. Listen, we need content, so we'll take it. What were some of the changes?
I just don't like to count my chickens before they hatch. I hate that. I'm never one of those guys to say, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But it just always felt so real, you know, whether it was with David O. Russell in the beginning or whoever else we were kind of, you know, got close to the starting line but never got out of the gate.
Right.
It was one of those things where you just feel like you sound like a broken record, you know?
Can you remember a project that you stayed that closely to or attached to for that amount of time?
No, because this now is well north of a decade, but with The Fighter, it's oddly enough, all the movies that I've wanted to make that I have gotten made, usually it's like the 6-year rule. So Fighter took 6 years to make, A Farther Stew took 6 years to make, Peter Berg was developing Lone Survivor for, I think, almost about that amount of time.
Right.
So, but this one, yeah, it was so funny because it was actually just like one of those things where I just chalked up to not gonna happen. Same thing with $6 Billion Man, actually. Right. So it was just kind of like one of those things where I just thought it wasn't gonna happen. Then I got the phone call and they were like, all right, we're gonna make Uncharted. I'm like, cool, who's the guy? You know, before it was De Niro, maybe, you know, Jack or whoever. Right. And they were like, Tom Holland. I was like, wait a second, what do you mean Tom Holland?
That's me being generous. Wow.
And they were like, well, Tom Holland. I'm like, for what? He was like, for Nate. I said, well, who am I gonna be? And now, you know, we're strapped on the mustache and here we are.
What is that thing on your face?
Yeah, puberty's right around the corner, kid. You can grow your own.
I'm really telling everybody they have to see this in IMAX because the third act action set pieces are fantastic.
It's pretty cool.
What was a harder one to film? Is it the plane sequence from this movie or the finale of Homecoming?
The plane sequence from this movie is the hardest thing I've ever done. Just
really?
Months of hard work, hanging off of these boxes, being pushed and thrown and dragged by wires and smashed into boxes and falling off of boxes, losing your grip. All of us tore our hands up because, you know, you're hanging on to these kind of ropes and, you know, it gets to a point where you just can't hang on anymore, but you're trying to, and you let go and you cut your hands up. So we had bangs and bruises and tears all over the place. It was tough.
It's definitely relieving to hear that. For sure.
From him?
Yeah. No, it's definitely, hard physical stuff. Took some falls, took some hits.
How many days does it take to put a sequence like that together, the airplane sequence?
I think it took 2 weeks to film that. I could be lying though, but it felt like 2 weeks at least.
Oh my God! No! Nate, come on!
Ready and action.
Tom, tell me about the first time you tried on the shoulder holster for the scene. That's such an important part for Nathan.
It was actually really exciting. Gary Dawson, who was our props master, who is a very good friend of mine, I've worked with him on numerous occasions. He gave me the holster, I tried it on, and there was something about putting it on which like completed the look. It kind of just brought the character to life in a really, really visual way. So it was really awesome.
It's pretty cool, huh?
Pirate ships are one of the most inspired set pieces I've seen in a really long time. And I'm assuming it's a lot of CGI, but they also look really, really practical too. What were those days on set like?
Well, they actually built a couple of ships. So we had the ships suspended in air, you know, or a portion of the ship. It was pretty cool. You know, I mean, for me, it's like, it's a real movie, like an Indiana Jones type of movie. It's not like a small, intimate story. This is like big, huge Hollywood blockbuster, action adventure, fantasy, all that stuff, you know, which I just think is just a different level and height of cinema.
I got to ask you about the line, nuns. Why is it always got to be nuns? Is that an Indiana Jones nod?
It is absolutely an Indiana Jones nod, yes.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
I think for us, you know, we realized that those films are so incredible and so unique that we wanted to pay respects to them and we wanted to lean into that genre. And what better way to do it than to reference it in the film.
You have no idea who you partnered with.
Sully, hurry! It's gonna take a little longer than I thought, kid.
I love that Uncharted could end up becoming the film that's a gateway for young girls who watch these characters on screen and they think, that could be me. And sometimes, they don't see great representation in action movies. And so I want to know, who was your action role model when you were growing up? Who did you look at and think, oh, I want to do that?
My two action role models, the first was actually Zoe Saldana in Colombiana. And that was the first time that I had seen, especially a woman of color, seen a just super dope girl do her thing.
Charlie's Angels.
Really?
Barrymore, Lucy Liu, Cameron Diaz. Yep. And I was so young when it came out. Too young to watch it, but I did anyway.
The second was Angelina Jolie and Salt and Wanted and things like that. That made me I want to do that one day.
And Tomb Raider, one of the better video game adaptations before you guys knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
All right. I need to know about your relationship with your unique weapon, with your knife. Did it take a lot of training? Is it something that you held onto all the time on set to get better with it? What was that working relationship like?
So I didn't get a lot of one-on-one training with the karambit itself. Most of how I learned it was through my own research, watching YouTube videos. And then, they gave me a fake one, a rubber one that, I had that thing all the time. At home, I would just flip it around, just try to get as comfortable with it as I could, to make it look like it was something that, was Braddock's weapon of choice.
Yeah, it's a unique skill set that you now bring with you to whatever film you do,
right.
next. I love the Nolan North cameo, of course. And I'm just wondering if there's anything that he was able to give you from his own experience that you incorporated into your own portrayal.
I think for me, he gave me enough from what he did with the games. I was a big fan of the games.
I dabble.
And I went back and played them again in preparation for making the film. And I just was able to, I didn't want to copy what he did. If it, Ruben and Chuck and Alex, our producers, they didn't want me to mimic him in any way, which I'm really glad, because otherwise I wouldn't have been acting, I would have been mimicking. So I was able to sort of take the essence of the character and some of the lines, I say, oh crap all the time, and we have the well joke, which is something that he has been known to say. So there's a few things I took here and there, but mostly I kind of reinvented the character.
What are some of the things that creatives need to pay attention to when they're adapting a video game over the screen?
Well, I think we learned with Max Payne that there just wasn't, it wasn't as big, a broad and interesting a story and world for people to want to see, It's kind of dark, brooding guy, similar to The Punisher. And this movie, it's for everybody. You don't have to know the video game to really go and enjoy this film. There's so much wish fulfillment in there. It really is for entire family. And obviously we wanted to first and foremost do justice to the game and the diehard gamers who made it so successful, but then we also wanted to make sure we introduced a whole new audience to Uncharted.
I've been dreaming about this my whole life. Magellan's gold. It's the biggest treasure that's never been found.
What's happening?
They're starting to come through, and I can't stop them.
Over My Shoulder is my new favorite movie of all time, my friend. It's a masterpiece. I have to ask about a scene. It's my favorite scene in it. It's when you're saying goodbye to the other two Peters, and then you go in for the hug. Is that scripted or improvised?
I don't remember.
Okay.
So much of this film was improvised, based off of great writing, but we all were allowed to bring our own spin to it. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was something that was improvised, but it definitely was something at the time that felt so right. We had a very similar moment in real life only a couple weeks before. So maybe some people saw that on set and were like, we need them to recreate that, but just on camera. So maybe it came from that.
Your co-star's playing the most popular superhero on the planet. Somehow you have managed to avoid, outside of Blue Falcon, which I loved, getting into the superhero genre. Is this just a lack of opportunities or something you wanted to avoid?
No, I think I first of all, I'm not brave enough to walk out of my trailer with a cape and spandex. But I did want to, and I had been trying to make $6 Billion Man for quite some time, which I thought was a great balance of all this kind of wish fulfillment and these abilities to do amazing things, but still being very grounded and real, and doing it with normal clothes on.
And this is happening?
Well, I mean, right now it's not happening, but we're eager to get it made if we can. I mean, we were kind of close, I would say, within the last year, and then the studio was like, "Oh, we're gonna press pause for now." So we'll see. I mean, I would never close that door completely. I still have Lee Majors calling me, asking me what's going on and what's happening, and I wish I had better news for him. But it's just one of those things where, you know, unless I finance it myself, right now it's probably not going to happen. But
well, this is a blast, and I really appreciate your time as always, Mark. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you.
Hey, you still with me? Barely.